So if you want to see how I made this cool little doll wardrobe, check out this video. Welcome back, guys. So I got these cool little baskets from a friend who challenged me to make a little wardrobe, or their dolls, like their American Girl dolls or something. And I'm like, you know what, I got plywood laying around, so I grabbed some 1/2-inch plywood, which you could definitely get at like Home Depot or something and make it easier on yourself, because they sell like 2x4 foot sheets. So I'm measuring out the baskets, seeing what size I want to make this thing. There's going to be the long basket in the bottom, and then two the short baskets in the middle. So here I'm lining up the fence. I figured out exactly what depth I wanted to make the wardrobe. And now I'm just ripping down this plywood into some pieces to depth, I guess you would say. And then what I'm going to do is I'll cut those pieces down into shelves and sides. And you'll see here, it's easy enough. Like I said, you can go just buy like a 2 foot by 4 foot sheet and just find some baskets on Amazon that'll work for you. Then I'm just going to measure out these baskets, figure out what height I want to make each shelf. And then I think I'll probably put a centerpiece in the two smaller baskets there so that they're separated. So now I'm just marking it off. I got my shelf sizes as to what I want the width to be, and those will all be the same. So I'm just going to cut those down on the miter saw to make all the same exact width of pieces. I think it ended up being 3 pieces here for 3 different, and then the tops and the bottoms are actually different because they're going to go on top of the sides, so they're a little bit longer. So once I get those ripped down, or cut down I should say, now I can get the sides measured out, figure out how tall I want it to be. I'm going to put some feet on this thing on the bottom to keep it off the ground, make it look kind of finished. So now I'll just rip down the sides on the miter saw. Obviously there's just 2 sides, one for each side, and then you got the 2 tops and a couple shelves. So then I got thinking in between all this, I'm like, well, you know, I could make the one shelf angled and you can hang some clothes on it, and then at the same time you can put some shoes on it, some little doll shoes. So I came up with this, you'll see in the coming up. So I got the bottom here. I'm just lining everything up, making sure it's going to fit right. Now I'm just going to Craig jig all the center pieces, so all the shelf pieces are going to get Craig jig screwed. And then those will just screw into the sides. And I'll just use glue and hold it all together. You know, we've done the Craig screws plenty of times. So I'm just using the jig to cut all the screws. I think I did 3 on each side. It'd be more than enough. It's just going to hold down close. So you can see I got the holes all drilled. So now we're going to put it all together. So now I'm just measuring where I want the shelves to be. These are the 2 side pieces that I'm measuring on. And then I'm just lining up so I can mark some lines on those. And then what that does is it gives me a nice guide point, so when I'm screwing all these shelves on here, I know exactly where I want them to line up so I can hold them in place. You'll see when I put some glue on there, and then it'll be all lined up and I can just screw it all together and keep on going. So I'm going to use a combination of, now this is the shelf I said I was going to angle, so I'm drawing one line here, then the other line back the other way, so it'll be angled when you book match it together. So now I got all my lines on here. I'm going to put the shelves on, put glue lines all the way across here to make sure it's nice and stuck on there. And now I'll just line them up and screw them down. And you'll see I'm going to end up using nails on some of these just to tack it in place before I screw it. It's just a lot easier. I can just tack a couple nails and just put some filler on them. I think she wants to paint it, so I'm just going to leave it wood grain and they can prime it and paint it. Now here I'm just tacking in the nails. That's the centerpiece I was talking about between the 2 baskets. So I was lining that up between the 2 shelves, and now I'm just going to glue it in place. That'll just be glued because the 2 shelves will hold it together right in the middle. So that worked out good. That ended up having a little angle cut too for this angled shelf at the top shelf there. But that's not a big deal. You could just go straight across. I was just trying to get a little constructive on it and see what I could come up with. She said she got this idea from another girl she saw on YouTube. I don't know exactly who. But when she gave me the baskets and told me what she wanted to do, I said, yeah, I should be able to do that. You see I'm just wiping down the excess glue there with a wet rag too, so it's not all over the place. You'll see it'll squeeze out when you're putting this stuff together. So here I'm just putting the bottom piece on. Now I found some purple heart up there that I had laying around, and I needed 2 strips here to make a closet rod. And I'll just sand them down. I just ripped them down the table saw just into skinny little pieces. Now I'm going to send them through the router bit here carefully. Watch your fingers on this one. The router bit's actually lower than the piece of wood, so as long as you got your fingers on top of that, it won't hurt you. But I'm just rounding over all the edges on those 2 pieces. And now I'm just cleaning up my mess because the router makes a heck of a mess. So I'm just cleaning it up real quick before I move along here. Sometimes it helps to have it a little bit cleaner before you keep going. So now I'm just putting the last piece on here. I'm going to connect it at one side, and you'll see I'm going to finish nailing in this corner here. But on the other side here, I haven't screwed any of that other piece on to the left there. So you'll see coming up here, I got this piece. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to screw and glue in these 3 points here. But the top corner up in the upper right over here, I'm going to leave unscrewed and unglued. And the reason for that is you'll see I'm going to put the closet rod in. And I need to be able to get in there to pull that piece up so I can get the closet rod glued and pin nailed in there. So here I'm just putting in a couple nails to hold those 3 shelves on there. Now I'm just lining up the little, what would be the shoe rest here. So it's just a little lip for the shoes to sit on. And now I'm just measuring out for the closet rod. I want to make sure it's centered and make sure there's enough height that you can get the hangers in and out of there and everything. So I'm just double checking that, make sure I know exactly where I want it on both sides. And that way I can pre-drill it. And now I'm just putting a little glue on the tip, and I'm going to stick it in there. And now the one far side isn't screwed in yet, so I got a place to play with that. So here I'll just tack nail it in. The glue will hold it in place. And now I'm just gluing up the other side here, and I got the closet rod glued on the end there too. And then I'm just going to put it all together where it's lined up, and then tack it all in there. I tacked the top one there because I didn't want to see the Craig holes, so I just nailed the top edge there. Now I'll finish nailing in this little edge here for the shoes to sit on. And then we can test out the baskets and see that they fit in there just right. So now I'm just going to do the back. What I have is a little piece of wainscoting laying around, so I cut a piece just the size of the back, and I'm going to nail it in there. And now I got little feet. That's just double pieces of 1/2-inch plywood. I cut into little squares and just glued and nailed them on the bottom there. So there, I just nailed the backing on there, and now you get the finished product. It's just a neat little wardrobe. You can hang your dresses or shirts on there, your pants, and then you have baskets for your socks and any other clothes you want to put in there. It's just a neat little project. You know, if you got a little girl at home, she might love this. And like I said, just a little plywood and some wood laying around. So hopefully this gave you some ideas. Thanks for watching. If you can, click on the like, subscribe, and give me a thumbs up on this video. Click on those notifications. I'll have more videos coming up. Sorry for the delay, but it's been kind of busy lately with some birthdays and stuff. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.